Okay, so a couple of things for today. One of them, I've been having quite a few questions about the drips because there's been some speakers in classes, making sure that's why I printed them out for you. This isn't like oh, hey, one of my classes had a speaker. Let me go back. Let me go ask Farrell or Whitehouse or Enrique to like sign it for the speaker. Nope. You didn't have it that day, you don't get to use that, okay? But let's say you did have, you had a guest speaker come in, like in entrepreneurship, I think you had Grant come in. And so if you had Grant sign off on the drip, or in counseling class when you had Alexa come in or Sarah Oren, and you had them sign off on your drip form, you have 2 weeks to get that done and completed and turned in. I know there's an in due date, but it also says on the form it needs to be turned in within 2 weeks. So it's not like, because frankly, I know that they were phenomenal speakers, but you don't have the best memory. You're not going to remember what the conversation or what you learned or what you got out of that potentially in 2 months from now. So you do need to turn it in within 2 weeks of the speaker's date, okay? So all you need to do is on that form, now you can do it in a separate page and just staple it to that, but type, if you have decent handwriting, I'm totally fine with you handwriting 2 paragraphs. Paragraphs, when anytime it says a paragraph, it is 5 to 7 sentences, minimum, okay? So it needs to be 2 paragraphs. So usually the first paragraph is like, what did I learn? What did the speaker talk about? The second paragraph is like, okay, how does that apply to me and what I want to do in the future? How does that apply to me in professionalism? How does that apply, or like, how can I use what I learned in my future? Now, just keep in mind, you will be required to use one of your drips, at least one of your drips in your final paper, okay? So those 2 chapters. So someone even emailed me like, hey, can I interview business people? Absolutely, please do. That'd be great. But you make sure you have to have questions thought out, written out, typed out, whatever, and you're asking those people those questions, and then you're filling in kind of shorthand or a summary as if you're taking notes while they're answering, okay? I need to prove that, you need to prove to me that you are prepared, because it's not just going in, I don't know, I'm supposed to do this thing where I interview people who are in a profession I'd like to go into. Can you tell me like what you do? That's not professionalism. That's a waste of their time, and that's not very respectful of their time and them taking the time to meet with you. So whether it's Enrique, whether it's Pat Muntz, whether it's you're not interviewing me. Whether it's someone else in the profession that you know or hear, you still need to respect their time. So you need to come prepared with questions, and then staple that too, especially if you're doing it via Zoom. Then you need to also attach an email that they said, thank you for meeting, or yes, we met on this day, we talked about this. To kind of prove it. Email can go directly to me, or it can go to you. You print it out and you staple it to your drip form. Okay.
Does this count? As Lois came in for our student portfolio class and talked about student loans, does that count? Or?
Mm-mm. No, because that's not about. That's about your future, but that's not about your profession. Unless you're wanting to go into financial aid and do that as a profession. But she's talking to you about your student loans. If you maybe even think about doing what she does, then you kind of need to interview her. So that's a great question. It's not just about one of your professors or in any class, someone had a guest speaker. That does not count. So let's say Carla, she's in my counseling and she's in my sports psych class. Now, because of what she wants to potentially go into be counseling, well, then it makes sense that she would use Alexa Munger as a drip form. Now, it may not, just because Sarah Oren came in and spoke, but she came in and spoke about physical therapy and things like that. Just because I had a speaker, that doesn't mean that that's counts as a drip for you, because you want to learn things, but how does this apply to you in your profession and where you want to go? Does that make sense? It's got to apply. Even let's say you have someone, you're just taking a class because it's required. Let's say like even basic accounting, and an accountant comes in and talks, but I have no desire to go into accounting or anything like that. Then that doesn't really count. Does that make sense? Okay. So even if you maybe interview someone, okay, let's say one of my friends is a lawyer, and she's actually in the social science. She actually got a major in psychology to then go to law school, because it's actually one of the most recommended majors to then go into law school. But she's not in a field that I would want to go into. Like her, I could interview her because she's a friend and she had the same major, but that's not really purposeful. Does that make sense? It's not gonna really help me answer the questions that I need you to gear towards. Yeah.
When you talk about grants as a speaker, we have to write two paragraphs. What about the questions? At that point, when the speaker was talking, we didn't ask any questions.
Okay, so I'm talking about two different things. So when a speaker came in and you have the drip form and he had to sign it right then and there, you just write two paragraphs, one paragraph about what you learned and a paragraph about how you plan on applying, like how does this benefit you in your future career. If you go and interview someone on the phone, via Zoom, in person, then that's when you have the questions.
But if there isn't a speaker?
Not a speaker. A speaker, you just listen, learn. Now, you could ask him a very specific question, but you don't have to have anything prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, that is only, the questions you have to have prepared are only if you go and interview someone, you go and seek someone out via phone. Because let's say you have no desire to work in the McPherson 50-mile radius where you could easily travel on a day to go interview someone. But you want to maybe go work in Texas, well then you're gonna probably have to do via Zoom, okay? Or a phone call or things like that. That's when you have the questions prepared, and while the person is talking, you're gonna wanna shorthand write their answers. So that way also you have the information so that you can write not only the two paragraph for your drip, but also use their answers as close to almost exact. You can then cite and quote in your final papers.
What about the signing? Does he have to sign it the same day, or we can, for example, if I communicate with him to sign the paper after the...
No, it has to be, that's why I printed it out and gave it to you to have prepared. You had to have him sign it that day. Yeah. Yes.
What if like you call them or do an interview, so like they end up being like busy, you have to like email?
Then you don't get credit.
Okay, so make sure they send email.
Make sure they send an email. That's why, guys, don't wait, because they're professionals, they're busy. I've had someone ask me to do, I've had 3 of my students ask me to do a reference for them like 3 weeks ago, and it's due this Friday. I haven't even started because, again, I work around 60, 70 hours a week, 2 full-time jobs. I have very minimal time. So it's not that I don't care, it's not, but man, oh man, we have a lot of busy people. So that's why I would encourage you to do them now. Don't wait till a week before they're due, because what happens if they don't get them back to you right then? That's not them, that's gonna be on you. You won't get full credit. So, and keep asking. Like, hey, I know you're really busy. Would you mind just sending, my professor's gonna need proof that we did meet. Can you just send me an email letting, either her or let me know, just to say like, hey, we met on this day and when, but that's also why I wanna see, okay. I've had in the past a student who like printed out the exact same questions 3 times on a piece of paper, and then literally just went to hand it to Dr. Farrell, handed it to White House, and handed it to Enrique. And hey, can you fill this out and get it back to me? And now they've all been notified. You do that, you will get a 0 on every single one. Okay. 1, I know their handwriting, especially Farrell's, because you can't read it. Okay. He can't read it. So I will know that, and I know my husband's handwriting. And I also know Enrique's.
You can't read that?
And you can't read that either. There's like, okay. So there's, I will know the difference between your handwriting and theirs. Does that make sense? I do want to see it. I don't want to see it all typed out. The questions can be typed out, but your summary of what they, like the answer, what their answers were to those questions need to be in your handwriting. Does that make sense? And again, they already know that that's not allowed. So if you do that, they will let me know, and they have in the past, if that's what you do. Again, I'll tell you, if you don't do all 3 of these, you cannot pass this class. They're 50 points a piece. Okay, which also keep in mind, they're 50 points a piece. When I say questions, you need to have at least 10. This isn't to go with them for 3 questions and be like, I did it, yay me. Okay, you need to have some substantial conversations. There's a lot that you should have a lot of questions about how to be successful, how to be prepared for grad school, how to be successful in your career. What would make, and have a set of questions for the very first one, and then learn from that one, and then maybe you need to adjust, or also look at the questions that you have for your paper. Ask some of those questions. Let them kind of do your homework for you. Does that make
I don't, I feel like you already said this, but Alexa that already came, I didn't get her to sign off, but
No, that's part of your responsibility.
Okay.
I printed them out for you. I literally did half the work for you.
Okay.
I printed them out. I told you make sure you have them in class. You were notified that she was coming. I also told you, hey, this would count as a drip. If you did not get the signature, then those do not count.
Okay. So, but if I get the signature later from her, like, cause you know how she wrote down.
No, it needed to be that day. That is a part of the responsibility.
So like, what if I re-interview her? Like, cause like, you know how we did notes in the class?
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote down all the notes, and then I also wrote her phone number and email. So what if I like just reach out again?
Then that's fine.
Are you sure?
I am just, I also need questions. You need to go prepared with different questions than what she talked about.
Okay.
Unless there's a specific question you want a little bit more explanation about, maybe she didn't go in depth. I just don't want a rendition of basically her notes. Like you guys just chit chat for a bit and then rewrite your notes from the speech. Does that make sense? I need to be able to see that it is significantly different than the class. Okay. But yeah, she would be a great one to interview about grad school or about the field. Like even more misconceptions about or what this kind of looks like. She would be good. Just make sure that I can tell it's different than what you just learned in class. Okay. Okie dokie. Next. Okay. Oh, I was like, you were supposed to remind me of something. So we're going to finish out what we're going to do in the paraphrasing exercise. You were to have those 5 done. Okay. So you're going to label them. 1, do the paraphrasing. 2, paraphrase. 3, paraphrase. All 5 of those paragraphs you are to have paraphrased. Kerrigan, which speaker was that? Alexa for counseling. Okay. Okay. So I was like, what was I talking about? So you'll do that. And then today we're going to talk about how you're going to do it with yours to bring the 3 articles you want to use today. Okay, so I want to see those out on your desk, what the 3 articles you plan on using. And I would encourage you to use choose the ones that you feel like would be the most beneficial to you to answering the questions for your chapter 1, maybe even, but at least one of your chapters. But choose one of those articles, but make sure that you have at least 2 solid pages of information. So like, I think like Freddie, you had a couple of articles that like had barely any text on them, the restaurant ones. Those would not be good ones to do for this assignment, okay? So making sure that you have pretty significant, like 2 pages worth of solid text to read, substantial text. I mean, there might be a picture or something, but you wanna make sure there's some substantial text for at least 2 pages, okay? That you've highlighted stuff. Oh, there's 2 pages of text, but you highlighted like 3 things, probably not the article to choose, okay? So go ahead and put those articles up. That was also part of your assignment for today to bring. What you're going to do for these is you're going to write your paraphrase of these 3 articles. So now so your paper is going to just keep flowing, but there's going to be a little bit of a difference of formatting to tell me as well as your partner who will be editing this paper. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. But your paper is going to go 1, woo, 2, woo, all the way down to 5, woo. Okay, here's your paraphrasing. Then after 5, I'm not going to put, and hear me, you're not going to put any extra spacing between number 5 and the next paragraph. You're literally just putting a return, but I'm going to delete the number 6. Okay, so if this is kind of like the edge, I know that you have a 1-inch margin, right? You have a 1-inch right here. Okay, so here's my, but this is where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is lined. Okay, now you're going to have just a 1/2 inch indent, like your normal indent. Okay, and then you're going to write your paragraph. Okay, and this is 5 to 7 sentences. Minimum. Okay, just keep in mind, this is going to help you kind of from here forward in whatever academic or thing. When you hear minimum, what does that mean? That's what is bare minimum. That doesn't, when you hear someone say minimum, that doesn't mean, oh, if I do that, that would mean I get an A. That means if you would like to pass, this is what you need to do, okay? So again, 5 to 7, this would probably, 5 is absolute minimum. You do less than 5 full sentences, then that's not completing the assignment. That's not a full thing. That's why I say, if you're gonna write a paragraph, you need to have at least 2 pages worth of text that you're gonna read, understand, read the highlights, and then put away and tell me what you learned. Okay, so the same thing you did with your shortened little couple of sentences and you paraphrased, now you're going to do it with an article. Okay, that's why I also told you just highlight the first page or 1 to 3 pages of your articles at the very beginning, because that's what you're going to kind of utilize. And then you're going to do 3 of these. So this is off of article 1, and then again, I'm going to immediately after this, here's another paragraph, and I'm going to continue to write, okay? So now these, I'm going to have just the 1/2 inch indent. How do we do the 1/2 inch indent? With the ruler. We're not tabbing, are we? No tabs. Do not tab, okay? Get into the practice of utilizing that ruler. 1/2 inch indent, like a normal paragraph, okay? But that's what's going to indicate to me that this is off the worksheet, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when it goes to just normal paragraphs, these 3 paragraphs are off of your 3 articles. Okay? The 3 articles. So 3 paragraphs, 5 to 7 sentences or more off of each one, okay? Now, again, this is because you're going to create then a reference page at the end of this. You only need to do references for the last 3 paragraphs because you don't have information to do cites on the 1 through 5, okay? So if if you are writing a paraphrasing of an article, what needs to be included? In-text citation. Yeah. Okay. In-text citation where? At the end of the paragraph? After every sentence that does not come from your knowledge, your general knowledge. Does that make sense? If I say people are complicated, period. That's just general knowledge. That's not scholarly, that's not academic, that's not, does that make sense? But also I would probably challenge that you don't get to just say people are complicated. Because some people might say, oh, people are pretty easy to understand. There's going to be some, right? So those are the things that it becomes complicated when we don't cite things, because then I can argue with you. I do think people are complicated. I don't, but someone could argue with you. That's why citing means someone said this, someone agreed, or that I got that out of what this author said. So every sentence, because I'm paraphrasing the article. So I'm getting information from this article and I'm paraphrasing it. So every single sentence needs to be cited. This is just going to be practicing, making sure that you know how to cite every sentence. Okay?
What do we do with the page in the paragraph on the in-text citation?
If you, okay, so when do you use a page or paragraph number in an in-text cite? Only on direct quotes. Yeah. So if you happen to, which try not, because you're not going to be looking at the article. There may, if there's a direct quote in there that you no, this needs to go on my paper, know that you have it highlighted and you'll save it to put in your paper later. But this paraphrasing, you're not looking at your article, right? I'm not going to be in your apartment or in your room watching you. So I got to trust that, but practice. Again, start to learn how to trust yourself that you can write and just tell me what you learn. Okay? Do you remember? I think we can all remember Healy's reaction to that was great. What? Again, just tell me what you learned, what you got out of that article. Okay? Stop trying to read to memorize. You're not going to. Unless you have a photographic memory, you're not going to read and then just regurgitate to me. I don't care exactly what was said. I want to know what you got out of what you learned out of the article. Okay? So, but it's still written in academic grammar. Sometimes, guys, this is what I would encourage. Read the article again, because it's been a while since you've read it. Okay, read that first page or two, and then read the highlights that maybe do new highlights, or whatever. Read the highlights that you had or underlines, right? And then put it aside. Now tell me, write what you learned. The first draft of that paragraph, just everything that you learned, what you got out of it. But I would also encourage, when I'm reading, read the first time and just think, okay, what was the point of this article? What was the point? What did I get? What would I tell an 8th grader that this paper is about? What did I learn if I was to tell someone? Then go back, read the highlights, just as oh yeah. And then again, put it aside and now just tell me, just write what you learned. What did you get out of it? What did you feel was important? What was the purpose of the article? Who gives a crap? That's what you need to write. Why should anyone care what was written? What was important? What did you learn? If you were to just vocally tell me, write it. Then go back and fix and make it sound academic and scholarly and grammatically correct and sentence structure, okay? You also need to get into, I'm not gonna do that with the hand. You need to get into a rhythm of reading, rereading, and sometimes, man, even with me, sometimes I need to read it out loud. Because sometimes my brain goes fast, or my fingers go faster than my brain, and I know what I'm saying, but when I read it out loud, I'm like, oh, that's bad grammar. Wrong word usage there, okay? So then, does that make sense, what I'm looking for? Then go back in and you're gonna just cite every sentence. So create one, copy and paste, and just put at the end of every sentence. Don't work hard, just work smart, okay? And then move on to the next paragraph. You're gonna do that for 3 of your articles. Okay. Then when you're done, let me look at your syllabus. Let's take, oh. Here we are. That would be helpful. Yeah. Okay. This plagiarism exercise. Oh, someone's slightly behind. Okay. We are going to have it due on Monday. You need to have it printed out and brought to class. Oh, you know what? We are really behind. Okay. Actually, I'm not going to have us do partner edits on this assignment. Okay. Go ahead and we're just going to upload it. Sorry. Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm going to have you do both. Upload it and print it. Okay. So you're going to upload it for credit that I'm going to grade. But I want you to print it and bring it to class on Monday. This, yes, the finished product, because I want us, one of the things that we're going to be doing here in a couple of weeks is what we call partner edits. Okay. I'm going to give you a little bit of a practice run at that, where it's not going to be like hardcore full grade. We're going to give you like participation point in class, because you're doing partner edits in class. I'm going to walk you through how to do a lot of APA wording and grammar punctuation edits. Okay. So I'm going to use that as how I'm going to teach you how to edit. Okay. Instead of just saying, here, have fun, good luck. Okay. So because here in a few weeks, when we get that chapter 1 due, you're going to also print it out, and then you're going to swap with people. And then that person's got to edit it according to APA wording, APA citing, APA reference page, APA layout, cover page, all that stuff. You're going to come with a different colored pen and you're going to edit it. Okay. And what that is doing, guys, I'm giving you opportunities. That's literally what your final is. Your final in this class is editing a paper. So I want to give you opportunities. Think of this as your study guide for the final. Okay, I'm giving you opportunities to prepare for the final. It never fails. I have people all the time that get the partner edit and like, I don't know, it seems good to me. And they don't do anything. And I'm like, I can find 50 things to edit on this paper. You will not get full credit if you are not editing things, okay? Just because it sounds good, pulling up Purdue OWL, pulling up the APA website of grammar and sentence structure and stuff. We're going to walk through some of that. So where you can go to look to answer some of those things, but you got to make sure that you're editing, because you're great. So let's say you and Freddie are switching. Okay. So if Freddie is editing your paper, she's not getting graded of how many edits he's making. He's getting graded on how many edits he's making. Does that make sense? So if she completely jacks up her paper and is really bad writing and really bad APA stuff, he fixes it, then that's actually screw up a lot and you help your partner. No, I'm just kidding, sort of. But like, like don't intentionally, right? But now if I literally, let's say, because this was a problem, I'll throw her under the bus because it's actually praising her, but Cassidy, like when she did her first paper, there was like 2 edits needed. And I was like, I'm about ready to fail this person who edited her paper. And then I look over the paper, I'm like, oh, those are legitimately the only 2 edits that are needed. Okay? So so don't think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fail because I only made 2 edits. There may literally only be 2 edits, but I will look over and make sure that you're doing. So does that make sense? But make sure you're looking at Purdue Owl, you're double checking, you're looking, you're going through, and I will tell you, next Monday is not a class to miss. Next Monday will be some of the most important stuff. I mean, everything was important, but like what's going to be edited on so many of your papers and the things that you need to really look at for writing in your paper and editing other papers, we're going to cover on Monday. We're going to cover a lot. And so I would make sure you take a lot of notes on Monday.
Do you want this to be due before class?
Yes. Yeah.
Like
So
uploaded?
it needs to be uploaded and it needs to be printed to bring to class, because I'm going to have like, so let's say Monday, you're going to bring the printed out and you're going to pick someone in class to switch with. Now, here's some, don't forget to tell Sebastian this because he just left, okay? If you want extra credit, you need to print out up to 3 more versions of your paper. Because let's say,
You mean copies?
copies. Yeah, sorry, not versions. I'm going to do a good version, a kind of about, and a sucky version. No, I'm going to do 3 copies of my paper, okay? And I'm going to, because let's say if I'm always trading with one person and maybe, oh, I don't really trust their ability and I don't know if my paper is going to be really getting great, you know, edited well, let me give it to 3, especially starting out. I don't know where you're at ability wise, right? So to like I'm going to give one to Facundo. I'm going to give one to Ridgely. I'm going to give one to Freddie. And then that way I'm getting all different. But I also can be like, oh, all 3 of them are fixing this. Okay. But you're also giving people, so you will get 1 point extra credit for every paper extra outside the one is the assignment. And the copies above and beyond that, you get a point. Now, if you edit more than 1 paper, you get 2 extra credit points per paper you edit above the 1. 1 is the assignment. So anything above that 1 that you edit, does that make sense? So then you have 2 options for extra credit. Okay? Yes, sir.
Is that for Monday or the final 2?
That is for Monday. That's for actually so in your syllabus, you're going to have a different partner edits. So for Monday, that's the opportunity you have for extra credit. And then after your chapter 1, we're going to do another partner edit. You're going to have the exact same extra credit opportunities for that one. It's the same thing. You can print up to 3 and have.
You can't print more than 3?
No, I mean, you can. You're only going to get extra credit up to 3.
Oh, okay.
3 more. So I'm sorry. So that would be a total of 4, right? So that 1 is your assignment and you can print 3 more. Okay. So that's 3 extra credit points. And then let's say you edit 3 above your 1, then that's 6 extra credit points potential. See how it can really add up? Okay. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it can add up real quick. And guys, the more you edit, the more you're getting in the swing of things. You're practicing. Again, every paper you edit, that's the study guide for the final. Think of it in that way. You're preparing and you're planning. Okay, you're practicing for the final. Okay, so just as clarification, by 8:59 a.m. on Monday, you are to upload the Word document onto Canvas and print 1 to 4 copies of your 5 paraphrasing and your 3 paragraphs. Okay? Okay. Any questions? Healy, I did record this. So I'll put it up on Canvas for you to watch because you want to rewatch this. Lots of information today. Okay? Okay. I'm going to walk around and check your articles and that you have, so if you had your 5 done, I want you to bring it up on your computer and I'm going to check them. Otherwise, you have about 10 minutes to maybe get started on the reading, highlighting your articles and stuff like that. Okay? Do you have your 5? I mean, your 5, like paraphrasing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. Okay. You have the 3 articles. Good choices. 5, great. Okay. I would email her today just to send you the like
Because I wrote like a whole page reflection on it.
Yeah.
So I'll have that.
yeah. Just say like, hey, my professor needs proof that like we're doing this assignment of explaining it kind of, and just say she just needs to prove like what the day was that you came and spoke. Can you just send me a quick email of like, yes, I did come and speak on this day in class about this. Yeah. Okay, you got your 3, you got your 5, perfect. Okay, and you got your 3 articles chosen?
Yeah.
Okay, looks like good choices. No. Let's see. Got your 5. Wow, those are dense.
Well, this one, like the 4th one, I was like, wow, that's a lot of information and it's not speaking language, but that's all I can remember about.
And I will also just say, just FYI, because you're gonna have to edit that. You can leave it for someone else to edit.
Okay.
But there's no, never questions in APA.
Okay.
So you might actually just go ahead and practice. How do you turn that into a statement? Okay, are these your 3 articles?
Yes.
Okay. Great, great. Great. 5. And which ones are your 3 articles? These are 3? Okay, great. Okay. 5. Great. There you go. Okay, those look like great choices. 5, 3. Great job. 5. Okay. Looks like good.
You said that the articles which we are using right now were going to be used for our final paper.
Mhm.
So if we choose these, but then in the final paper, we don't want to use them.
You don't have to.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No, not at all. This is just like, I'm giving you an opportunity to kind of like already start paraphrasing the articles that you want to use. So then when they're getting graded and they're getting edited, all that sentences and all that writing about the article that you would want to use, then it's already kind of like there for you. So it's kind of, I mean, can be to your benefit, but you totally don't have to use it. No, that was just like a suggestion of maybe making life a little easier. Okay, 5, and those 3. Okay, just making sure that, yeah, that looks, you just might have to read like, you might like do the article. Does that make sense? Like, you can, maybe the 3, because there's like substantial highlighting on this, so you might be able to use like just the 2, maybe 3 pages, just like whatever is going to give you enough information to like write it. It's amazing how much like information you kind of need to be able to write 7 sentences. Okay, so those are. Yeah, this is the assignment, right? Yeah. So, yeah, to like read this, you were to like, I have it printed out, but to read and then highlight what was important, then read the highlights and then turn the paper over and then write a paraphrase sentence or two about what you got out of it. What did you learn? How would you summarize what you learned out of that without looking at it and just like changing some adjectives?
And then I have another question about for my I would recommend me talking to like one of like a psychologist that's doing my attention because I feel like it'd be hard to get because I have like their reception first.
I would go through their reception. I would go through like, again,
Like I don't know what to like say when I call them, like how to
explain that you're a college student, and I have an assignment, kind of interview someone. I'm wanting to work in a juvenile detention center with teens or kids, and I'm wanting to interview someone of like what it looks like to get to that, what's needed, how, what kind of skills do I need, what is really involved in the job. Just ask questions about that. Is there someone that I could talk to that could be willing for me to kind of interview them via phone or Zoom? 15 minutes. I don't want to take a lot of their time, but would anyone be willing? Does that make sense? So that's sort of like that professionalism of like reaching out to people, emailing them or calling them, but just letting them know I'm a college student, I'm majoring in psychology, this is what I'm wanting to do for my future. I have an assignment for a class that I'm needing to interview someone in a field that I'm wanting to go into. Is there someone that you would maybe recommend or that would be available for me to take, just even 15 minutes of their time, to 15 to 30 minutes of their time to interview and ask some questions about like what's needed to be a professional in that field, what's really involved in that, and just kind of ask them about what the day in and day out of that career is, and ask them some questions. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. And Kerrigan, I'm going to give you, let's see. Okay, I just gave you access to share your screen. So go ahead and share your screen. Okay, I would also just FYI on these, make sure you take out the number sign. Those should just say like 2 dot something. So to take out the number signs. Great. Okay. Great. Okay. And can you just show me your screen, like do you have your articles? Okay. Okay, great. Great. Okay. Thanks, Kerrigan. And I think we're good to go. Have a good rest of the day. Bye.